I know this is going to sound crazy, but do we need a new internet? Do we need to hit reset on whatever this is? It's not just me saying this, there's a lot of people. Should we redo things? For all the great things that's out there, for the fact that we can do pretty much whatever we want in the palm of our hands, there's a lot of bad things too. And we're going to look at both sides of technology in this podcast. We're going to talk to people like Alan Kay. He's a brilliant computer scientist who worked on many of the digital tools we all use today. And Alan Kay is sort of sounding the alarms on how we're using the internet. So why would a guy like Kay be so worried about how we're using these tools? Why wouldn't Kay be as excited about technology as you or I?
So what I see is something much more like a pop culture today, where people are completely indifferent to the past. And it's not that everything in the past was good, but it's a real shame to lose the stuff that was better than the idea. Like Engelbart was smarter than most people today. And so they can have all the pleasure they want inventing something and having that egocentric satisfaction that I did this. But basically, it's just a form of pollution, because we're not talking about something that's just for a single person's pleasure. We're talking about something which everything is done is ramifiable to 2 billion people now. And that you just can't allow people who, whether willfully or unconsciously, are, just polluting the system because they don't know any better.
Alan Kay once wrote, "The field of computing is awaiting a new revolution to happen." According to Kay, in which education communities, parents and children, they won't see it as a tool invented by Douglas Engelbart, but a medium, more like the Marshall McLuhan sense.
If you go back to this interesting phenomenon that if you look at the daily use of people with, say, computers of whatever kind, it's hard to find any technology in there that is newer than 30 years old as far as the foundational ideas.
This show is going to bring you some of today's biggest thinkers, people thinking and talking about technology in a critical way. In each episode, we're going to talk to pioneers in computer science, media theorists, and we're going to explore the tools of our time. The good and the bad of technology, kind of the yin and yang of tech. For the last couple of years, I really started to clue into what was happening on the net and with our digital lifestyles. While I was enjoying a relatively free and open net, the digital space where we were playing was drastically changing. For better or worse? Well, that's what we're going to try to find out. So let's squish the ones and zeros together and see what kind of code we come up with.
The whole idea of graphical user interfaces came from the 60s, and the one we happen to use today was invented at PARC, but it wasn't invented in isolation of previous ones. Both the mouse and the tablet were invented in 1964. Most people don't realize that. The ARPANET started working in 1969, and it just morphed into the internet.
Alan Kay joined Xerox's research center, PARC, P-A-R-C. We're going to talk a lot about PARC in the episodes to come. PARC is where they develop so many tools that this podcast is going to focus on. Alan Kay joined in the 70s, and he was one of the key members there. Xerox PARC is responsible for many of the things we use. They invented such things like the modern personal computer, laser printing, and much more.
If you take a look at what people are doing on the web, what I see is mainly better looking graphics than we could do 50 years ago.
We will talk about how technologies have changed and how we've changed as humans with it, from text to radio to TV to the net we now know.
When the internet came around, we all thought we're all going to get to work at home in our underwear, in our own time, exchanging value with one another. But instead, we've ended up with an internet that takes more time from us, an internet that we feel exhausted and drained when we're done using it. And that's because we're not using it. It's using us.
Douglas Rushkoff is a media theorist, professor of media theory at CUNY in New York, and author of such books as Throwing Rocks at the Google Bus and Programmed or Be Programmed.
No, it's simple power law dynamics. It's a winner-takes-all landscape. So if you have a company like Twitter, which I would see in my old-fashioned view as a successful company, it makes $500 million a quarter based on a 140-character app. Success, right? No. In the current environment, that's a failure because they don't have a growth strategy. They don't know how to turn into a video company, a news company, a social company, an everything company.
Douglas Rushkoff has created the terms viral media and social currency. We will talk to him about what he thinks about the way we use the net and how he thinks we can use the net in a better way.
So to me, Facebook is essentially Walmart for a new generation. But Facebook is saying, free services, free social networking, free, and everybody's saying, yay, it's free. But then the problem with that is that the job prospects for the vast majority of people are actually gradually decreasing as less and less stuff is monetized. So what you want to do to have an information-based economy and preserve capitalism is to monetize more and more of the world instead of less and less of the world, because you want the market to be growing instead of shrinking. But the problem with the Facebook approach is it's monetizing less and less, because it's saying, no, all this is free. Your reward for participating is reputation, karma, connections, and all those things are very real, but they're not monetized. They're not securable. You can't get a house mortgage based on your Facebook reputation.
Jaron Lanier is a computer scientist and musician. He is one of the pioneers of virtual reality.
I mean, just think about the day that all those cabbies out there lose their job because their cars are driving themselves. What are they going to do? I don't think they'll be happy. But whoever does that will become very, very rich. You know, so whoever owns the top server in a big efficiency making exercise becomes very, very rich. So there's this huge concentration, even as the overall economy is shrunk as a result.
We will talk to Jaron about automation, an open and free internet, and what he sees as a sustainable future for the net.
I'm going to use a different company as an example, an old, less fashionable one, which is Walmart. So Walmart was one of the pioneers of using computer networks to make the world efficient. For consumers anyway. Walmart in the 80s and 90s started to develop its own version of digital networking, especially in the 90s, to precisely calibrate who to buy from at the best price, where to ship it exactly when, and how to ship it, and how to stock it, and at which store when. I mean, this whole incredible system. And as a result of that, it was able to look to offer lower prices to its customers. And everybody said, yay, lower prices. But the thing is, it became so big so fast, which is what happens when you do digital networking, that it kind of took over the world and changed its own environment to make the whole environment of retailing consumer goods and creating them more efficient in this certain way that impoverished its own customer base. So all of a sudden, its very own customers have fewer job prospects. All of a sudden, its customer base gets poorer. And now it's kind of dug itself into this rut.
We will also look to the past to talk about the future. Right here in Winnipeg at the University of Manitoba, where it all started, Marshall McLuhan was one of the first media theorists. McLuhan is best known for the phrase, "the medium is the message." What did he foresee in the 1960s and 70s?
Our bodies create these new environments. The extensions of our bodies create these new environments, like the electric one. And these are the location now of the evolutionary process. A new environment like TV or computer or telephone or radio can compress millions of years of evolution in seconds. What has been happening to us in the 20th century is that we have been going through many millions of years of evolution, biological evolution, psychological evolution, through the extension of our bodies to these new environments.
What kind of message would he say our mediums say about us now? Marshall McLuhan talked about a global village. We will start to look ahead by looking at the past.
You know how we speak of being with it, meaning we've understood completely, We've got the message, as it were, in every way possible. But in the older book or print culture, people were not with it. They were away from it by themselves with their own private point of view. Now, you have no point of view when you're with it because you accept the thing totally. And we're with it because these new media of ours, the one you talked about in the appliance store, have made our world into a single unit. The world is now like a continually sounding tribal drum, where everybody gets the message all the time. A princess gets married in England, and boom, boom, boom go the drums. We all hear about it. An earthquake in North Africa, a Hollywood star gets drunk, away go the drums again.
Come gather round people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept that soon you'll be drenched to the bone if your time to you is worth saving. They better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are changing.
All right, so I did it. I got Bob Dylan in there. I don't know if it's going to fall in the fair use category or what, but we're not going to worry about it. We'll chalk him up as he was like the ultimate media theorist. So thank you for sitting through this pilot of this podcast. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope we can explore things a little bit further. Thanks again.